Hey guys, welcome. We're going to go ahead and go over the study guide right here. So let's get started with writing our rules. Negative exponents, anything with a negative exponent, we got to go ahead and justify, get rid of it. So we're going to put it in the denominator, downtown. There we go. Product rule, when you multiply, the two add together. So this is going to be A plus B. And power rule, we're going to multiply these two together, A times B. And quotient rule, we subtract A minus B, the top from the bottom. Okay. The other one that was not mentioned here was anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. Okay. So first of all, 3 is by itself, so we're just going to write 3 m to the negative 8 power. We're going to go ahead and put that on the bottom. And then we're going to get into the 0 power, which is just 1, which just disappears, and we're left with this as our answer. 8 is negative, but it doesn't have a negative exponent, so it stays on top of the fraction, but x to the negative 2nd power goes to the bottom. P to the 4, p to the 5, those two add, so those exponents add to give you 9. Again, these are going to add. We're going to get 3 plus a negative 6 is negative 3 times a to the negative 1, which is going to add to give me a to the negative 4. And then I can't have a negative exponent, so I'm going to put it under the 1. To a negative 5 is going to be 2 to the negative 3rd power times 2 to the 8th, and that's going to be equal to 2 to the 5th power. We can evaluate this one. So 2 to the 5th power would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to give us 2 to the 5th power will be 32 units. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I saw students make was on number 6. We need to distribute the 2 to both pieces in the inside. So we get negative 4 squared, and we get d to the 7th squared. Okay, so sometimes it helps to write it out like that. 4 squared is going to give me 16. And then a power to a power is going to multiply, and that's going to be 14. 16d to the 14th power. Same thing over here, we're going to distribute. We're going to get c to the 3rd. 3 times 6 is going to give me d to the 18th power times, and distribute here. C to the 5th times 2 is going to be c to the 10th power, and d to the 4th power. Now that we're multiplying, we're going to actually add these exponents. So this is going to be c3 plus 10 and d18 plus 4, which gives me c13 and d22. The more steps we take, the less likely I am to make a mistake. Now we're multiplying here, so we just got to multiply the whole numbers then the whole numbers. That's going to give me positive 10. X squared and x to the 6th, they're going to add exponents. And y to the 4th and y to the 2nd are going to add exponents. And we're going to get 10, x to the 8th, y to the 6th. First we have to distribute. This is going to be 4 to the 3rd power, x to the 3rd power, y to the 3rd power. And that's going to be times, distribute, the exponent, 2 to the 3rd power, x, 3 times 3 is 9, and y, 3 times 7 is 21. Now 4 to the 3rd power is going to be 64. X to the 3rd times x to the 9th is going to be 3 plus 9. Y to the 3rd, y to the 22nd is going to be 3 plus 21 times 2 to the 3rd power. I kind of did this in a weird way. I should put this up here. I'm going to put this in the front. 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Okay? So we're going to do 8 times 64, which is 512. Then 3 plus 9 is x to the 12th power, and this is going to be y to the 24. 4th power. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, 2 to the 3rd and 2m squared, we're going to distribute that. 2 to the 3rd power is going to give me 8 times 2 squared and m squared. 2 squared is going to be 4. And 8 times 4. I have my calculator off screen, so if you hear me, I am calculating. And there we go. Here we're dividing 14 and 21. 7 goes into both these numbers, so I'm going to be reducing down to 2 over 3. And then we have a to the 5th, a to the 2nd, so that's going to become a 5 minus 2, which is just going to be 2 a to the 3rd over 3. Okay. First, we're going to reduce this 12 and 3. That's going to become 4p to the 3rd over p q to the 4th. Okay. We could actually even cancel out one of the p's, so I'd have 4p squared over q to the 4th. But this whole thing is still being raised to the 3rd power. Since I can't simplify anymore, now I distribute. So that's 4 to the 3rd power. P, 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12, and then 4 to the 3rd power is 64. It's always easiest to simplify inside first and then distribute anything after. Case in point, we have a to the 4th, a to the 6th. That's going to subtract, so we're going to have negative 1, b, a to the 2nd on the bottom, raised to the 4th power. 1 to the 4th power is just 1, b to the 4th power, and then 4 times 2 is a to the 8th power. Now, 1 to the 4th power is just 1, and notice this was a negative exponent. Well, what's negative times a negative times a negative times a negative? Well, that's positive, and that's positive. Positive times a positive is a positive, so we know the answer is a positive value. Again, look for reduction first. 5 over 2, no reduction. P to the 3rd p, that's going to be p squared, and then q to the 4th, and that whole thing is squared. Now we distribute it. We get 5 squared p to the 4th, 2 squared q to the 8th. 5 squared is 25, and 2 squared is 4. These don't reduce, so we leave it. When the whole thing is raised to a negative, we're going to flip the whole inequality and then square it. That gives us 9 squared of 81, 4 squared, or 2 squared of 4. Now again, I'm going to reduce here first. This is going to be 2m in minus 1, right, over 3. That's going to become negative 2, which is going to move to the bottom, so I get 2m 3n squared. But this whole thing is raised to the negative 3rd power, which means it's going to flip up to get rid of the negative, and then I'm going to distribute the 3 to each piece. So 3 to the 3rd power, n to the 6th power, 2 to the 3rd power, m to the 3rd power. 3 to the 3rd power is 27. 2 to the 3rd power is 8, and they don't reduce, and we're left with that. This is going to move to the bottom. This will move to the top. This is going to be squared, so 3 squared. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 squared. And x times 2, or 4 times 2 is 8. Now we can go ahead and multiply. That means I'm going to add my exponents. So 3 squared real quick is 9. I'm going to get y to the 8th power. 4 squared is 16, x3, x8. That's going to be x to the 11th power. Okay, evaluate each expression with the given value. So first of all, I'm going to turn this into d, 1 over d to the 6th, and then we're going to plug in 2 to the 6th power. And 2 to the 6th power is just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, this is 8, and this is 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Negative 3, that's going to become 1 over n to the 3rd power. This is going to be 1 over negative 5 to the 3rd power. That's going to be negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Negative 5 times a negative 5 is 25. Times negative 5, that's going to be a negative 125. So we get our answer of 1 over 125, and it's negative. Okay, last but not least, r to the 0 power is just 1, so it goes away, and I'm just left with s squared under the fraction because we had negative. That's going to be 1 over 10 squared, which is 1 over 100. Alright guys, that's all she wrote. I will see you later.